every experience will pass. A love once felt seems to be lost. Thought comes in with this or that. The bliss makes space for feeling flat. We're holding on to at all cost. It's so simple, it's bizarre. Love is who you really are. Love is freedom, love is truth, love is consciousness, it's you. You're not that old repertoire. There is nothing outside of love. There is only you. Everywhere you look, everything you touch, every experience, it is all a plain you. There's sometimes clarity, sometimes smoke. You're sometimes rich, you're sometimes broke. You're going up, you're feeling down. It looked so great, but now you're drowned. Can't you see it's all a joke? Because there is nothing outside of love. There is only you. Everywhere you look, everything you touch, every experience, it is all a plain you. There is nothing outside of love. There is only you. Everywhere you look, everything you touch, every experience, it is all a plain you. It is all a plain you. It is just a game in you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Lovely to see you all, those of you joining on Zoom, and welcome to those who are watching the live stream or the recording of the live stream. You're all very welcome, but obviously you can only really participate in this if you are here in the Zoom session, as I don't respond to the comments on the live stream, but I do look at them afterwards. So if you feel like commenting, you're very welcome, and I'll have a look later. So today's open meeting live streamed is on the theme of how to love myself, or how to love yourself. Yeah. But before we get into that theme, I'd like to just take a few moments to check in with how we're feeling in this moment. So you can just sit comfortably, close your eyes, and start to turn the attention inwards to what this body is experiencing right now. Bringing the attention away from the thoughts or whatever was happening in your life before the start of this session, or from the outside world, the apparent outside world, and bringing your attention to the physical, emotional landscape. to whatever is appearing presently. And whatever it is in your unique experience, this is absolutely as it must be, just the way it is. There's nothing wrong, nothing missing, nothing that needs to be added or changed or fixed. It's simply about meeting the direct experience just the way it is. And noticing any thoughts that might be here, they're also absolutely welcome and exactly as they should be. It's just that usually we are giving so much more attention to the thinking. So when there is a thought, we just notice it just like any other physical sensation. It's not more important or significant. And in fact, this seeing of it all, this embracing whatever is here, just the way it is. A word for this is love. And love is who you are. This is, in fact, your true nature. Always knowing, seeing, aware of whatever is happening without preference or opinion or need to change anything. It just knows it. And this is unconditional love. There are no conditions for this love. It just embraces whatever is here without exception. And this is your true identity. Not all the thought stories, the history, the dramas, the challenges, the achievements of this human life. all of that is appearing in this love as an expression of this love that you are. But you're never limited by anything that happens in this expression. Then we can again bring the attention to the breath, breathing into the belly. Noticing the feet on the ground or the bum on the seat. Bringing all of your attention to this present experience just the way it is. And then when you're ready, we can open our eyes. So, how can we love ourselves? This is our theme today. And, you know, there are a lot of concepts about love, right? There are a lot of ideas, a lot of very beautiful concepts and ideas about loving each other or loving ourselves. And we might try to do that. Right? We might try to love ourselves, but inevitably we come up against certain barriers because the nature of the mind is that it will criticize and it will find problems and something wrong or something missing, or if only I could be like this or not like that, or they're better than me and I'll never be good enough, or whatever. We have all kinds of concepts or ideas about who we think we are, that it is not enough just the way it is. And so then when we try to love ourselves, it is a lot of effort to keep trying to actually change these concepts of who we think we are to positive concepts, to concepts about how I'm such a wonderful person, or kind, or clever, or generous, or interesting, or whatever the positive concepts might be. And it takes a lot of effort to keep changing negative concepts to positive concepts. And this is not really being in contact with the love that you are. This is just simply a mind game. And it can be a valuable mind game to some degree. There is some value in changing negative thoughts to positive thoughts, because, of course, positive thoughts do seem to have a positive effect on our experience to some degree. But it does require a lot of effort and vigilance in a way. And it doesn't seem to get to the root of the matter. And what is the root of the matter? It is that you are already love. That's the root of the matter. And so you don't need to try to love yourself, because you are already love, or in fact, you are already loved just the way you are. Now, when you are trying to to be loved, usually you're looking to the outside world to get love from others, from your environment in some way, or your community. And whatever love you might receive from others is no doubt going to be temporary, right? Because they cannot maintain a loving attitude towards you all the time, because they're human, just like you. And sometimes they also have these kind of negative concepts, or they're going through some challenges and perhaps they project some stuff onto you, which then you take to mean something negative about you. And this is how we tend to go on in our lives, believing that others' reactions or responses mean something about who we are, that we are usually not enough as we are. And so then we try to fix that by either adapting ourselves to fit in with what we think others want or would like from us. And this is doomed to failure, of course, because we can never know what other people really want. And of course, they're changing their minds all the time anyway. And it's, again, a lot of effort to try to adapt all the time to what other people think in order to be loved by them. And again, it's projecting love outside of yourself, as if the key to love is out there. Now, at a certain point, we realize that it's not out there, it's in here. And of course, we hear that again and again on the spiritual path. And so then we try to love ourselves by changing our negative concepts to positive concepts. But it's not even in here. This love is not in or out. It is you. And this love that you are already includes and already embraces whatever is here without exception. And this is radical love. It really doesn't care what you do, what you say, how you feel, what you look like. It doesn't care. It loves you just the way you are already. So it's like an absolute unconditional forgiveness, always. Which doesn't mean that you then have the license to treat people badly or to hurt people or, do kind of all kinds of horrible things. It doesn't mean that. And it doesn't mean that you should be passive in terms of looking at yourself and inquiring into certain patterns that might be there that restrict you, or certain old negative beliefs. We can always look at these kinds of things and see where we might be buying into certain limiting beliefs about who we think we are. And this is reflecting how we behave and live in our lives. And this can be very painful when we believe these things. But even if we hold these beliefs, who we are really loves these humans, just the way they are already. And knowing this brings a deep relaxation. Knowing this not conceptually only. I mean, of course, conceptually can be interesting, but it's in a deeper way. You're really relaxing into that I'm enough, just as I am, simply because I am now this, right? I couldn't possibly be any more or different because I am as I am now. Of course, paradoxically, I'm always changing, and that's where we can keep looking at ourselves. But it's not with the aim or the goal to clean ourselves up perfectly so that then we might be worthy of love. No. We are already so worthy, just the way we are. And so I'd really invite you to take that in, to really meet yourself as this human. I know you're not limited to this human, but you include this human and you live as this human in the world. And so in this play of being human, when we really meet ourselves as love itself, this means that everything that happens in this human experience is perfect. It's already loved. And so when we bring our attention to that, we make it, let's say, our priority. And I'm not talking about holding a mental concept of what is our priority, but we resonate deeply with this, that we know it's true and we live from that. Then we don't need to make effort to love this human because it's already loved. And this means that naturally we are more freed up to be just as we are, even if our experience is a bit messy, even if we are, of course, we are imperfect beings, right? Human beings. We do make a mess all over the place in various ways, right? We carry old conditioning and traumas and patterns, and we try to do things that don't work out, and we hurt people, and we feel uncomfortable, messy feelings, and we have wounds, and all kinds of things. Right? We are human, but to meet all of that just the way it is, this is love. Love doesn't have to be some kind of sweet, pretty image or feeling. It doesn't have to be this kind of fluffy, spacey thing. It's a very grounded, real kind of love that meets whatever is here without exception right now. And this is what we long for in others, right? We long to be truly met just the way you are. And as long as we are longing for that from others, we overlook it in ourselves. And in fact, until we can meet ourselves as love in just the way it is in our own experience, we cannot ever really know love from anyone else. We have to start by meeting ourselves as love. And then it becomes natural to know love from others. It's like it kind of overflows. Because if I'm love, well, of course you're love. And then we are just love together. And even if we're messy, it's an expression of love. There's a sense of inclusion and forgiveness and embrace and holding it all. Even if it hurts, even if it's frightening, you are love. I have my heart earrings on today, especially. Yeah, so I'd love to open it up to you now. If you have any questions or if you'd like to have a dialogue, you can raise your hand. I see some lovely hearts in your screens. It's, yeah, lovely. And of course, you can also type a question in the chat, but I will give priority to those who want to have a dialogue first, and then if we have time, I can respond to the chat. Christina.
Hi, Unmani.
Okay.
How how to feel this deeply? I I I I'm feeling it when you are talking. It's so naturally. Yes. Um,
Yeah,
I,
and that's enough, actually. That's
okay.
enough. Yeah, in a way, the mind wants to do more. How
Yeah.
can I grasp this? How can I do this? How can I bring it into my life and make
Yeah.
it a practice? Or how can I put it in my pocket and take it home? You know,
Okay.
it's not
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, all that is, you could say, needed is resonating with this. Just resonating and a yes, an inner yes.
Mm.
And
Okay.
the more you kind of are immersed in this and keep resonating with this, it seems to grow and grow in you. And it becomes louder, you could say, and then those old beliefs about not being good enough or whatever can become quieter because you start to relax back into the safety of that love that you are. That
Yeah.
actually being a human in the world is safe when you're loved.
Yeah.
Even if, of course our world is not always safe, but there's a bigger kind of safety that is that love that holds us always.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Tino and Astrid. Don't know which one of you wants to speak.
Okay. I want to say it touched me very deep when you said that the human being is inside me and I am more than this human being. I heard it so often, and it's, yeah, I was waiting for it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
That's exactly what I mean, that it's all about just resonating with this, really. Just something just kind of says yes, yes, yes. That's all that's needed.
Mm.
And listening to that, acknowledging that,
Mm.
knowing that actually that's the most important thing ever. Nothing could be more important than that.
Mm. Feels good, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ruth.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it's amazing for me. I discover that the impression is how radical this understanding of love is.
Yeah.
And contrary to this radical going to the root, I discovered that I expected really some training about being more kind with myself. So it's interesting to see my mind, what pre-expectation it had, and listening to you, it's totally different. It's blowing away. But there's one point on money where my mind, I think it's the mind cannot go up with this radical meaning, and that is I developed dependency or a habit to distract myself with games, to just be busy and not really living. And how can I embrace this destructive habit? This is a miracle in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, you call it destructive. Is it destructive necessarily? Because, you know, by calling it destructive, you're also creating this kind of duality here. Like you're making it bad, and, you know, that stopping that would be good. And maybe that's creating some pressure.
Sure. And I tried to search what is going on in myself in this time where I follow this destructive habit. I tried to watch what is my whole system experience it. And it seems like I'm somehow I'm processing in one way. I can see that it's a time where my whole system, the nervous system or whatever, gets quieter, gets.
Oh.
But
yeah. So maybe in some way you're using it to kind of self-soothe, you know, to soothe your system. And people use different things in that way. And maybe it's not as bad as you make it out to be. Maybe it's a needed thing to some degree.
yeah, to some degree, this is possible. But in the same way, I know I'm avoiding nourishing fields in my life which are challenging me. And so my mind sees, oh, in this you go easy and you are in a way dependent on it. And under these other fields, you are saying, no, leave me alone, go away. So to come in, yeah.
I understand, but then, you know, also you're reinforcing this belief all the time that you are dependent on it. So you're making it a problem, you're calling it destructive, saying you're dependent on it, which means that actually you've kind of put yourself in that box, that's what you have to be doing, actually, because you believe that you are dependent on it. So, you know, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy somehow. And if you can question some of these beliefs, maybe it's okay to do it. And if it's so okay, maybe it's also okay not to do it, but it doesn't have to mean so much. It doesn't have to be such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the inner fight against it, and the little box, what you beautifully made clear to me. This is what it makes heavy and stuck also.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, it's also, that what you were saying before about how you were expecting or some kind of advice about how to be kind to yourself. I mean, it's not that we shouldn't be kind to ourselves, of course, even though we can recognize that who we are is already love. Of course, doing nourishing things for ourselves, for these humans, of course, will make these humans feel good. And when we feel physically, emotionally, mentally good, then our experience of our lives is better, right? So of course we want to be doing that. So wherever possible, these kinds of nourishing behaviors are better, obviously, but if you are doing something else that doesn't seem to be so nourishing according to your ideas, making it so wrong is the opposite of nourishing yourself. It could be also nourishing to just say, okay, I'm just going to do it because that's what I feel like doing right now. And then also when you start to feel, okay, maybe it's enough now, find the sensitivity in yourself or the courage to say, okay, I'm going to go with just putting it aside for now because it's enough. I've soothed my nervous system that I followed the impulse originally, but now I'm overdoing it.
That's interesting. That's the way in the last time I made more focus on. It's okay to have the impulse to go in this game, and then stay more aware when the first sign comes that it is enough.
Yeah.
Because what is, for my feeling, damaging when I oversee these signs, when I just go more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that more feeling is that it has like an agitation in the body. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you can notice how that feels and how actually it's quite painful to feel that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
And maybe noticing also the breath. When there's that more, maybe the breath is more shallow. And maybe it just takes noticing the breath and then taking a deeper breath, to release some of that tension in that more. And then actually in that moment you can see, well, actually, maybe I don't need more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Unmani.
Okay, thank you. It is, just to say one more thing about that, it is a thin line, it seems, also for the mind to understand this, between loving yourself just the way you are and seeing where there are areas that we could shed more light on. And shedding more light on a particular area in your life, or looking at a pattern, or questioning a belief, or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that you are not loved just the way you are. It means that love, which is also, another words for love is light, you could say, or clarity, right? That love wants to shine its light on areas that are a little bit murky or a bit vague, you know, or places that we don't want to look at because it's uncomfortable or for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a habit even. And love loves to know itself, to meet itself, and to keep meeting itself. And so, of course, it will love to shine a light on certain areas that perhaps are not being met. It's just that usually we are assuming that that then means that there's something wrong with me. I need to fix myself and all of that. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's just, oh, let's have a look at this. Let's be curious. You know, why am I, you know, not looking at this? Or why am I buying into this same old story about myself when I know that I'm not limited to that, or I don't need to do that old pattern all the time? You know, I have a bigger sense of who I am. So let's shine some light on these little kind of dark corners. Yeah. Even though the dark corners, apparently they're not really dark, but you know what I mean, like kind of a bit vague places, they're always loved anyway, just the way they are. So you never need or have to look at those places. It's not that by looking at those places that then you'll be perfect or have a, you know, the perfect experience or get enlightened or whatever like that. You know, it's just that love loves to meet itself. So why not meet yourself? Okay. I see, Dennis, you've written, I've experienced absolute love briefly once in meditation, and I dissolved into it in that moment. I had no words for it. It felt like home. As a counselor, I ask why we don't love ourselves. It's usually a feeling from some false identification in the past. Yeah, yeah. But as I was saying, you know, we are human, and we've grown up believing in certain old patterns or limiting beliefs about ourselves, or we've come from cultures where, you know, this is what is considered normal, to think ourselves to be small or, you know, less than others, or to keep ourselves suppressed and repressed. You know, this is just what we meet in the human experience. And when we start to resonate more and more as the love that embraces it all, even if there is identification or old patterns or habits or addictions or whatever, that it is all loved just the way it is already. That this is very, very freeing. And paradoxically, it actually gives the space to heal a lot of these things when these things don't need to be healed, when you don't need to fix yourself in order to become some kind of idealistic image of some perfect person. When you don't need that because you are already love, then this is such a beautiful healing. You know, it heals areas that just don't need to be healed, you know. Just because there's a relaxation, there's less of a fight around these areas. There's a deeper meeting, feeling, whatever is here. Because a lot of our inner fights come from just these protection mechanisms, because we don't want to feel, it's uncomfortable, it's painful or frightening based on our past experience. And if we know that we are love, this also gives us a lot of courage to meet uncomfortable places in ourselves, because we know that it doesn't ever mean anything about who I am if I feel or experience or behave in a certain way. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person, or it doesn't mean I'm an addict, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm not spiritual enough. It's just what's happening now. So this is very, very freeing. It doesn't form any belief about who I am. Then I'm always free from it, free with it and free from it. Anyone else? Tino and Astrid again?
Yeah, I noticed a problem, and this is if I have no problems. So a couple of minutes ago, I had this relaxation, and then the first reaction is I have nothing to do.
Yeah, without a problem.
Without a problem.
What are you going to do then?
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Yeah. And yet, all our problems are focused on imagining a future when we won't have problems,
Yeah, yes, exactly, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting one to meet in ourselves, like just meeting that everything's okay, just the way it is. Now what? Now what am I going to do, And actually there's nothing to do, but you could do anything, right? Then life is a playground.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anya.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm noticing some resistance and confusion, and I'm a bit exploring it. So I want to explore it out loud with you.
Please. Welcome.
It has to do with, I would call it tension between, it's not really a tension between the absolute truth that we are perfect and the relative truth of this human experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let me tell you that when, for example, I see what I call an ugly thought, or for example, as an example, I can ask myself, can I look at this without judgment? Can I allow it? And in a moment, I sincerely ask myself the question, I am that which allows it. So I am that love, you call it. So that's an important practice for me. But with that said, I heard you say several times, we are human. And there is my confusion, because when I really look, I can't find a person somewhere in me.
Yeah.
So this human appears when I look empty of a person, of a human. So there is my confusion. So yeah, maybe that's for now enough. Maybe you can.
Yes. No, I really get you with this. Not finding anyone in here, right? There's no one in here, and yet here you are talking, and you feel stuff, and you're doing things in your life, or moving in this direction or that direction, or feeling this or that, so there is a human here. Anytime you stop and you look who is in here, there's no one in here. And this is exactly the paradox. Yeah? That actually you, that you know, you are empty, right? The human is empty. It's like a shell in a way. But you are aware of this human. You're watching the human, you know, do this or that. Now I'm watching this woman, right? Just talk and do this. And who you are is not inside the human, but in fact, the human seems to be arising in you as an expression of you that is not separate from you. You know, whereas normally we are looking at this human as being like, I'm located in here and I'm looking out of these eyes and I'm living my life. But when you see that actually there's no one in here, there's still a life being lived, though. There is the game or the play as if there is time, as if there's some kind of evolution for the human. But it's like this paradox, because anytime you look at who, there's no one here. And this is the kind of mind-blowing, bizarre paradox that we live.
I think there's an idea in my mind that I don't know who this I is, but have to be able somehow to let the true self act through this human. And I think the idea is that there is that I have to do something to make that happen, but maybe that's where the confusion is. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. The mind wants a job.
Yeah.
Because as we said before, without a job or a problem, what is it going to do? You know, so but you know, this living as who you are in the play of the human, it happens by itself. The more you see that you are not who you thought you were, right, it gives more and more space. And this just means that you are being lived and you see that you're being lived. The thing is that you are always being lived, even when you take your thoughts very seriously and meaningfully and fully identify with them. But it becomes just that it's a conscious knowing that you're being lived. You know, so the point is that it happens by itself. The more you see that you're not limited to who you think you are. And it's also, it's not that you need to do something, it's like an open curiosity. It's something like that. And that's also your nature, your true nature. Another word for it could be curiosity, or just like a big question mark. You know, that seems to be also your nature. Like the emptiness is like an emptiness that is full of potential. It's like this question mark. Well, what is this? What's going on? You know, this is why we follow the sense of longing. This is why so many people search to find what's going on. Who am I? Where am I? What is all this?
But it's like as if you are resting in this resting in the search in a way that it's an ongoing question mark. Is that?
Yes, exactly. And it's not that the mind needs to do something to try to search or find anything. You know, that's the big shift. You know, on the spiritual path, we think that I need to fix myself or do this or that to get there. And I'm searching for there. And at a certain point, we wake up out of that dream and we see that actually there isn't a there, there isn't a me to get there anyway. So there's no more path, actually, because there's no me walking on any path to anywhere. But this doesn't mean that you stop evolving as a human, as a energetic being, whatever we are. It's mysterious, actually, what is playing out here in this life. The expression of this human is continually evolving. Right? We're continually growing and evolving, and whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, intellectually, we are meeting ourselves in different ways depending on the circumstances or experiences that we have, and we're seeing through these beliefs in ourselves more and more, and this frees ourselves up more and more in the lived experience. And again, I find that it is also about an energetic resonance. Like the more we resonate with this, you could say a frequency of acknowledging who I am, that I am that emptiness, or that, it's beyond all these words, of course, that starts to become louder, stronger. It starts to become the loudest thing in the room, and all your thoughts that you believed in seem to get, they seem to be less important, less relevant.
Yeah, but at the same time, you still fully embrace the human experience as this thing.
Yes, because every aspect of the human experience is an opportunity for me to meet myself, just like this. Let's say I have some argument with a friend, okay, oh, that's interesting. Let's feel it. Let's explore what was touched in me. What did I assume about them? What did I project onto them? What was, what did it bring up in me? What old pattern or old belief or memory or whatever, wound? Okay, let's feel it, explore it, embrace it. Not in a kind of analytical, heavy way, and not with a goal to clean it up or to get anywhere, but just simply because this is what's being touched now. And I'm curious. I want to, as life itself, as love itself, all I love to do is to shed a light on what is here.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tino and Astrid?
Yeah, you said that we are being lived, and it brought the question into my mind, or I kind of long to hear more about we are being minded also. It means, I guess that's what you're saying also.
Being what, sorry?
I know there is no word like this in English, but if you say we're being lived, then it also feels like we are being minded, like being thought, like,
Yeah, every aspect of
mind.
every aspect of the human experience is happening out of my control. It's not, I'm not thinking these thoughts. Those thoughts are happening in who I am. So yes, it's who I am is just watching the show of this human experience.
And then it asks in me, let's say, so who's responsible, or kind of, this question of responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why what I'm talking about is not a mental concept. See, when the mind hears this, it says, well, you know, it's all happening out of my hands, out of control. So then I have no responsibility. I can just be passive. I can just, you know, sit around and do nothing, or I can just go around being destructive to myself or to others. No, it's not about having some kind of intellectual concept of freedom or something, but actually it's about taking full responsibility, you know, because everything is happening in who I am. So it's not about a serious, heavy idea of responsibility, but it is knowing that it is all in me. Who else is going to take responsibility? Right? It's all my responsibility, because this is my game that I'm playing with myself. And so as part of that game, you know, if I pretend that aspects of myself don't exist, you know, okay, I can play that game. That's also included. But as we said before, the more we recognize that who I am is love itself, naturally we want to embrace everything. And there is a natural responsibility in that as well, because that responsibility comes out of sensitivity. You know, when you're aware of what you feel, and you're also sensitive to the environment around you, or the people around you, and you're staying in contact with what is being touched here, then there's a natural responsibility that comes from that in simply responding moment to moment.
It feels like it also has to do like with loving to have the direct contact to reality.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean?
Yes, that's so awakening, actually. Right? Waking up out of the dreams of thought, right? The dreams of limitations, old beliefs, all of that. When we wake up out of that.
Yeah, the dreams of judgment. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. We are continually waking up out of these things. Then we are awake and responsive. And that is responsibility, right? We're sensitive, we're feeling it all. And it's not always easy, right? It can be uncomfortable, but this is what awakening is. You know, people often think that awakening is some kind of blissful state or something. And it can be, but it is also embracing the human experience just the way it is. Waking up to every aspect of it. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so last question. Bjorg, I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry, Bjorg Raj Panchu. I can't see you actually. Oh, there you are. Hello.
Hello.
Can you pronounce your name?
Panchu.
Panchu. Okay, nice to meet you.
And the other name is Bujraj.
Okay.
I live in Mauritius, and I come from the Hindu tradition. So in the Hindu tradition, it is like that. The God is dreaming this universe. God is dreaming 7 billion people, all the animals, all the plants, all the objects. And so we are just dream objects in God's dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we are having all these experiences, it is it is God as well who is having these experiences. So God is doing all this in order to know himself, because without suffering, God cannot know bliss.
Yeah.
Without wars, cannot appreciate peace.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. And also God is not some kind of abstract figure. You know, it's not that God is separate.
God and his dream are one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I like to use the word I, right? I am love, or even I am God. And it doesn't mean that personally, you know, it's that who I really am is God that is dreaming myself. Yes, but beautifully shared and said. Thank you for that.
And all is perfect, because whatever we are doing, it is according to God's script.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a relief, huh?
Yeah.
Such freedom.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
you. Okay, we've come to the end of our time. And next time, the theme will be, what is it now? Is it unspiritual to judge people? Which is actually came up a little bit in this session, but we'll go more into what is judgment next time. So I look forward to seeing you then. And also to say again that there are still places at the retreat here in Portugal on the 13th to the 23rd of October. So you're very welcome to come and join us. Yeah, and if you know, if you have any financial difficulties but you'd really love to come, please contact us and we can come to some arrangement. Yeah, I'd like to, you know, whoever is really deeply longing to be here, to come together to this retreat. I don't want to turn you away if you really can't afford it. So yeah, get in touch. And yeah, and also for those of you watching the YouTube live stream or recording, please do comment and like this video, and also subscribe to the channel, because it does support this message to be seen by more people, and that's always very helpful. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.